huge fan of the block, but after meeting these guys, I'm a massive fan of them. They're absolutely awesome people, and I can't wait for you guys to get to know them. We're going to ask them a couple of questions specifically about them as people, property and places. So guys, let's kick off. You became stars straight away from obviously the block this year. Tell us, Tess and Luke, I suppose, who's the boss? You can lead away, but tell us about yourselves, something that we won't know from block, from YouTube or Wikipedia.
Oh, something that you probably don't know about us from the block is that we actually really get along. We're actually a really great team. We really support each other, and we love each other to death.
Yeah, and Luke actually wears the pants, not me.
You heard it here first. Witnesses, all of you.
Fantastic. And so, guys, how did you get into something like the block?
So we applied for the block 4 years in a row.
Wow.
Don't know why. To be honest,
Stupid.
Honestly, we would watch the auctions and would go, we can do that.
We can pick up 400 grand.
Easy. And then the fourth time applying, Luke didn't want to apply. We were getting married that year, and he said, we're not going to get on, there's no point. And I said, well, if we're not going to get on, just do it. Who cares? Just do the video for me. Anyway, we got on.
Right.
And, it definitely was a shock. We never thought we'd actually get on. Like, no way. So
Yeah. And it's been a blast ever since. Guys, tell me, what do you have to do to qualify? Do you have to be a chippy? Do you have to be a room designer specialist? What do you guys do back home?
No, you don't need any previous experience. I'm a carpenter by trade.
And I'm definitely not a stylist at all.
Tess, what do you do? What have you done for the last 5 years?
Oh, well, I was a hairdresser for 10 years.
Okay.
And then I just kind of dabbled in admin and sales and things like that. But yeah, no experience is probably better. I reckon they cut you a bit more slack. You know, if you're a chippy or a builder, they ride you pretty hard. So no experience is definitely a must, I reckon. Maybe do a design course or something to try and get your head around it all, because trying to work it out while you're on the block is not ideal.
Right.
It's not fun.
And so you're a chippy, Luke. How long have you been a chippy? And I suppose tell us about that. Is that, do you work for someone? Do you have your own business? What does that look like?
Currently working for another bloke back home in Cairns.
Yep.
Found out school wasn't really for me.
Okay.
So,
Or did someone tell you that?
the principal kindly reminded me that I probably wouldn't finish grade 10. So I took it upon myself to leave on my terms rather than his. And get an apprenticeship out of spite, basically. And here we are.
And the principal's a massive fan of you now.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves me. Shout out to Mr. Quirk if you're listening.
There it is. Guys, did you have to have bought a house first? What's your property experience been like?
Well, I was fortunate enough to get into the property market quite young, but as people may know, in Cairns it's a very slow-moving town, so you got to hang on to a house for about 40 years before you make anything up there.
Yeah.
I was 16 when we got our first house with me, my brother and my sister.
Wow.
Then me and my brother done another Queenslander, and then Tess and I were stupid enough to buy yet another Queenslander that needed a heap of work. So
Yeah, awesome. And so that's a property that you bought together.
Yep.
What was that property journey and I suppose the purchase like? Was it easy? Was it fun? Did Tess have everything to say, or what was that like?
It was stressful, I think, us buying our first house. At the time, Luke was working away, so I was alone and going through the whole process on my own, and it was really full on. The house was disgusting. I wouldn't have stepped in there without shoes on, honestly. Right. It was all we could afford, so we got the most revolting house on a okay street.
Okay.
And it took us a little while to do it up because Luke was away for a couple of years. But yeah, the process was actually really fun. We really enjoyed it, and I think that's another reason why we wanted to go on the block, because we thought, well, we enjoy working together despite what it looks like. But that's why we thought this would be a great challenge for us.
we like working together under our circumstances
Right.
and our timelines. You got 2 years to do up a bathroom, not 72 hours.
So what does that property look like in the sense of now? What's your property journey in Cairns? Whereabouts is that property? Tell us a little bit more about it.
So the house that we have now, it's a Queenslander. It's in a suburb called Menunda, which is quite close to the city.
Yep.
We've done quite a bit to it. It's a beautiful Queenslander now. We've done a bit of extensions and a new deck and everything like that. And it's just about to go. It's only on the market next week. So we're really excited to sell it and do something
exciting.
new. Yeah.
So the first time you'll be going to market.
Yeah, it's our first time going to market. Yeah.
What's that like? What's the decision process like for you? Has it been pretty straightforward? Manunda prices have gone through the roof because of Tess and Luke. What's that process like for you?
Yeah, look, people are fighting over hand and fist to try and move into our house now, so it's really great. We're looking at setting the record for Manunda sale prices.
Yeah, that's a joke.
No, we're actually looking at moving down to Brisbane next year, so by freeing up the house, hopefully get a little bit more money in the back pocket. It should free us up to move down here.
We were really lucky. Our real estate agent who's selling our house down in Melbourne, the block, he has contacts in Cairns, and so we've had a really great team help us there. And it's actually been a pretty good process. We've been guided and looked after, and
Awesome. Guys, so coming from Cairns and growing up in Cairns, what was it like? I suppose you had to move down to Melbourne, the block's at St Kilda. Where are you living in Melbourne? What's that like?
We actually had to live on site at the block.
Yep.
And in St Kilda, if anyone knows what St Kilda's like.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. You walked in and you're just like, there's no way that I'm showering barefoot.
Okay.
It was just a pigsty. What you see on TV is what really happens, but worse.
Yeah.
It's even worse than you could imagine. You didn't know what was clean and dirty with your clothes pile. You just put on the shirt and done the old sniff check and away you went.
But we've never lived away from home. Like, we never moved from Cairns. The longest time away from home we've been as a month on a holiday. So moving to Melbourne was pretty terrifying in itself, as well as doing the block. So we were definitely out of our element. We were just, the kids from Cairns having no idea where the hell we are and what we're doing. And Melbourne, it's cold. And it was really quite an eye-opener. And St Kilda's are full of characters. So really interesting.
So did you get to experience Melbourne a lot? Is it a place that you talk about, a place that you go back? What did you love about it?
What we loved about Melbourne is just everything. There's just so much to see and do down there.
Yeah.
Again, coming from Cairns, the nightlife down there, the restaurants, the bars, the music scene, which unfortunately we didn't get to experience too much. We just sort of heard it along the grapevine that, so-and-so is playing in town tonight. It's like, that would have been great. I
think you left the site 3 times in 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so
you didn't get out to see much of Melbourne?
No.
We went to the burger shop down the road a few times a week, and that was our outing for a week.
Yeah. Well, we did actually drive to the country, and that was really nice. Yeah, but that's about it.
But again, you're too stressed to actually enjoy
out
it.
to the wine.
I don't know where we went.
You just
went up to Dalesford.
Yeah. Dalesford.
We went up to Dalesford. It was absolutely beautiful. But again, when you're around Scotty and Keith, you're always on edge that they're going to throw you in the deep end and stitch you up with something. So we actually couldn't relax and enjoy ourselves.
So what makes you want to come to Brisbane next year? What's the lure? You've obviously been down to Melbourne now. You've lived in Cairns. What's the draw card for Brisbane?
Well, I actually wanted to move to Brisbane before I met Luke about 9 years ago.
Okay.
And I went, Brisbane, Luke, all right, and I stuck with this.
She made the right choice.
I did. I absolutely did. And I have a sister who lives in Brisbane who's just starting to have a family. So I think, and Luke has a sister on the Gold Coast with a family. So I think just being a bit closer to our family. Also, the market is just so much better in Brisbane than what it is in Cairns. I mean, the ability to be able to buy a house, flip it and sell it and make money, it's too good to pass up here if we have the ability to do it. Whereas in Cairns, you just don't get that much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And so you'll continue being a chippy, and what are you gonna?
What am I gonna do?
What's the plans?
Life guru.
Yeah. There you go.
There
Life
you go.
guru.
Well, you guys are stars now of the block. So, and so tell us, leading into the block, you've got the auction coming up. What does that look like for you?
Oh, that's terrifying. That's really scary. None of us know what our reserves are yet.
Yeah, we find out the day before they go to auction. So we have no idea where we're sitting in regards to the market down in Melbourne, but things are on the up down there, which is a good sign for us.
Yeah, the prices of them are a bit scary for us, but it's just the waiting game.
We're confident in the property that we've got to put up for auction. So.
Yeah, excellent. And so I suppose to wrap up, tell us something that nobody here would know about your experience on the block, something that's behind the scenes that you don't actually see on the TV show.
Jesse is actually a legend. He's a really good bloke. Don't judge him too harshly.
Yeah. I think it's funny what you actually see on the show, really does happen, but it's amplified. And I think that's something that everyone has to understand, is that you're not in a normal environment. It's like a pressure cooker. So when you see, well, me, not us, explode and things like that, that's not normal, you know? And behind the scenes, we're all great friends and we all get along really well. And even when there is drama, we're still together. Like to this day, I'm still messaging people who we might have drama with throughout the show and things like that. So, you know, at the end of the day, the renovation is real and it is also a TV show. So everyone really invests themselves into it, a little bit too much, I think. And, you know, there was a couple, Elise and Matt, who were on A Current Affair the other night talking about the trolling and everything like that. Right. It does get out of hand. Like, it's just insane. But, I mean, that's just what we signed up for, I suppose.
Part and parcel.
Yeah, that's right.
So I spent a little bit of time in Cairns, and a couple like you guys growing up there, you're probably sort of stars in Cairns, but becoming stars Australia-wide. Is it been good? Is it easy, or is it, you know, is there some difficulties there?
It's definitely hard when you're in such a high-stress environment, and, you know, Tess and I, our sense of humour is probably a little bit off centre compared to 90% of Australians. So getting judged on that by the entirety of Australia, it's definitely a big weight to carry. But
people are amazing though. We've had so many beautiful people supporting us and messaging us, and we honestly respond to everyone. Like, everyone is so supportive. It outweighs the negative, and it is really awesome. Like, getting to know these people who are like, oh, you're in my lounge room every night. And you go, oh, I am too, aren't I?
It was funny, we were walking into the airport last night and we walked past this beautiful young family and they're like, oh, look who it is. And we're looking around like, who the friggin' hell is it? I'm like, oh, these mugs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit strange. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Guys, welcome to Moreton Bay. We love having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if are we allowed to open up to Q&A to people here? Is there any questions? Or I think Tess and Luke are going to go down to the Channel 9 tent. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.